James Johnson here, and
Poster boy.
we just saw Won't You Be My Neighbor. It is a extraordinary documentary on Mr. Rogers. That's right, the television icon who had little puppets and sang nice little songs for decades. I watched him. Come to think of it, I'm not really sure if I watched him in reruns or if he was actually doing it, but he was a part of my childhood, and I can actually remember sitting there and watching his show and really, you know, just he was the first person to really teach a child to think outside the box, and I think this film really did capture his spirit. It's more than a film. That's what I want to say. This isn't really a documentary. It's just a presentation of this man and his message, and a documentary film just happened to be the best artistic format to put that message in. Just like how Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, chose television because it was the best medium to get his message out there. You learn in the film that he almost was a priest, so he saw television as the church, a new church. And so I really liked how this film was edited, put together. You're gonna, at least I did, because I'm a big sissy. I was wiping tears away multiple times throughout the movie. Tears of joy, tears of happiness. This film is special. Just like Mr. Rogers always said, you are special, everyone is special. This film is special. It's not just some fluff piece about, hey, yeah, he's a great guy. It really got down into the nitty-gritty details of why and what made him tick, and the message of him as a man, and what he was thinking, what he was feeling, and what he made other people feel. And I brought Poster Boy along here, and I just assumed that he watched Mr. Rogers too, or at least knew who Mr. Rogers was, but apparently Poster Boy's never even heard of Mr. Rogers until recently.
I had not. It had been just recently until I even heard of him. Even though, you know, he was around still during my childhood, I had just never had the pleasure of seeing his shows.
You were stuck in the video games and the Nintendo and the Nickelodeon slime.
Yeah.
Which there's artistic value in that as well. That's another video. So I wanted to know, as someone who didn't know anything about this show, about this man, what did you think?
It really kind of made me feel that I had, you know, missed out on something.
Yeah, so now you look around the world and you're like, that's why everyone else is so happy except for me. Because we all watched this show and
they all had Mr. Rogers.
but seriously, yeah, were you ever bored or confused, or because I know you're like a superhero, big action movie type guy, and this was a small documentary
of someone I didn't even know.
Yeah. So it held your attention for an hour and a half?
It did. I actually enjoyed it a lot.
Good.
It was, you know, you come out of it just wanting to be a better person and like kind of follow the example that Mr. Rogers led throughout his life, teaching so many generations of people, you know, the values of life and stuff.
Yep, so now we all have values, and we're all good people, and we're all special because we saw this movie, so you should go see this movie too. You could feel like, you could kind of feel that sense of community in the theater with everyone laughing and at this, you know, and it felt like we were all a bunch of kids again, just sitting there like, what's the lesson for today, Mr. Rogers? And he's just like the friendliest guy. And you know what? And Hollywood is making a movie about Mr. Rogers, and I think Tom Hanks is going to play him. And I actually, after seeing this, I don't want them to make that movie anymore, because I think this did it perfectly.
Just no one could do him justice.
Yeah,
the way he was in real life.
Like, there's no need to recreate it, because it's there. The footage is there, and then this film does a really great job of using old archive footage, clips from the show, and really in-depth interviews with the people who were closest to him, and they address the rumors and myths about him, and it's really playful and fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, the best and the only thing you could do for this film is just have it capture the spirit of Mr. Rogers, and
Which I think it did.
That's
perfectly.
what it did.
I mean,
that's all the film needed to do, and it's gonna get the Oscar nomination at least for documentary.
I hope so,
because
it was fantastic.
Yeah, films like this get that because it's gonna get a pretty wide release, which is rare for a documentary, and it's an icon. It's a person that we really haven't had the chance to really look back and think, how did he affect our lives? How did he affect our culture and our art? And a lot of things can really be traced back to him and how he changed television and education. He embraced the silliness. He never grew up. He was just a great man, and this was a great film. I have only good things to say about this.
I'd recommend anyone seeing it, even if you don't know who Mr. Rogers was like me.
Yeah.
I mean, not even knowing who he was, I even got kind of teary-eyed and choked up in the movie, and then laughing at other times.
So now that missing piece in your heart is kind of.
I didn't get the full experience.
You will never. That will always be an emptiness and sadness that you will have to bear, because now you're an old man.
Yeah.
But yeah,
being old sucks. Don't grow up.
But go see this movie. Yes. Go see this movie.
A television program for children made its unauspicious debut on station WQED in Pittsburgh. Its host, Fred Rogers.
Mr. Rogers?
Yeah.
I want to tell you something.
What would you like to tell
I
me?
like you.
I like you, my dear. Thank you very much for telling me that.
You take all of the elements that make good television and do the exact opposite. You have Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Low production values, simple set, unlikely star. Yet, it worked.
Hello. I've always felt that I didn't need to put on a funny hat or jump through the hoop to have a relationship with a child.
He was always trying to get a message across in every show.
A week on death.
What does assassination mean?
On divorce.
Some people get married, and after a while, they're so unhappy that they don't want to be married anymore.
He was radical. I know everyone says that, but he was radical.
They didn't want black people to come and swim in their swimming pools. My being on the program was a statement for Fred.
A neighborhood was a place where, at times that you felt worried, scared, unsafe, would take care of you.
He had a singular vision of kindness and love.
Love is at the root of everything. All learning, all relationships, love or the lack of it. Children have very deep feelings, just the way everybody does. There must be times when you do feel blue. I'm not feeling blue right now, though.
Me neither.
Won't you be my neighbor? Well, I suppose it's an invitation. It's an invitation for somebody to be close to you. The greatest thing that we can do is to help somebody know that they're loved and capable of loving. Won't you please, please won't you be my neighbor?